Daniel Jeremiah. How are you, DJ?
Well, Rich, thank you. First of all, it's great to be back with you. I want to tell you that the phrase mixed emotions is thrown around a lot, and I now have a perfect explanation for it, and that is this draft for me, because mixed emotions in that not having you, not having Charles Davis, my buddies, and we have so much fun.
Right.
I mean, that sucked. But I'll be honest with you. The fact that so many Michigan players and so many Tennessee players were drafted, if we were going to be apart for a year, I was very thankful that it was this year, and I'm hoping next year I can get back in Charles and get after him a little bit and give you a hard time. But gosh, your alma maters had so many players drafted. I would have got killed if we were all together.
I know there were 10 of them. There were 10 of them from my alma mater, and it was great to see. And I thought Peoples-Jones was a steal, and but there really wasn't much to talk about in terms of the one would say pressure points of this draft with my alma mater or Tennessee. So I want to kind of get into the headlines of all this.
Yep.
And the headline one would say is what the Packers did. Can you walk us through how things go in a draft room where you'd think Green Bay would draft a receiver in the deepest wide receiver draft possible, certainly after what happened on Thursday night, and yet they come away with nothing? How does that happen?
Well, it's interesting how you look at it. I was just talking with Bucky about this on the podcast, which was he was saying that for his image from the 49er game, right, where they got clobbered by the Niners, was the Niners running the ball down their throats. And he came away from that thinking, okay, well, they want to be more physical, so that's why they drafted the big back, Dylan from Boston College. That's why they made the picks that they made on the defensive side of the ball. Everything they did to him was about trying to be more physical with San Francisco. And I left that game, Rich, thinking they have to get Aaron Rodgers some more firepower. Like, they can't compete with these top teams to win the ultimate prize unless they have more weapons. And they obviously did not look at it that way. So that was that was a little bit of a disconnect there. The quarterback thing, I understand that from an organizational decision. If you were huge Jordan Love fans and you feel like he could be the quarterback for the next 15 years, that's the long view decision, and that's where you say, okay, the general manager has the control, because if the head coach had control, they're normally thinking about next year. This was not a next year decision. This was a next 15-year decision. So that's kind of how that goes down in the room.
I understand that, I guess. But what about not calling Rodgers? Again, we had Ryan Wood, the Green Bay Press-Gazette beat writer for the Packers, on the show in our first hour, and he confirmed that they did not give him a heads up that it was coming. How does that happen, Daniel?
Well, the Bears can one-up them on that, though. They don't even have the best story in the division. When they had they had Glennon, right? They had Glennon at like a fan event when they picked Trubisky. I know communicated very well.
No, and Flacco was at a fan event, right? When Lamar Jackson got picked or something like that,
yeah.
And I understand that, but
I don't think these things. I'm with you. To me,
but this is Aaron Rodgers we're talking
I would
about
give
here.
a heads up. It's Aaron Rodgers. It's a different level. I'm with you on that. If it was me in that situation, I would have had a conversation with him, a little bit ahead of time. Not like you're on the clock, but just, hey, if there's a certain situation with a particular quarterback is there at the end of the first round, we have to look after the long-term health of this organization. I'm not saying we're going to pick him, Aaron, but I just want you to hear from us that if there's a particular player there, we would consider taking him, and I don't want you to be blindsided by that. You can have that conversation with him, a month before the draft if you want to, but at least you've laid some type of groundwork, some type of communication there with him.
So I've got Howie Roseman on in a final hour. DJ, what did you make of the Hurts pick?
I think when it first happened, it was kind of shocking a little bit, trying to make sense of it. And then the more you think about it, the more you can wrap your mind around it, for a couple of different reasons. Number one, and I'm sure Howie will lay this all out for you. The one thing I don't agree with is that there's some of the thought of, well, we can play him a little bit and then we'll be able to spin him off for a pick. Well, that one doesn't make much sense. You spend a second-round pick on him. You spin him around for hopefully, a 2, maybe a 1 like that. it's one thing if you take a guy in the 6th round and develop him, and then you traded him for a 2nd-round pick or a 1st-round pick. Like, okay, that's a huge difference. But you took him in the 2nd round, so I don't really count that. What I count is this is the team that lost a playoff game last year. McCown, wasn't totally healthy, but they saw firsthand if they just had a little bit better play at the quarterback position, they win that playoff game. So that's part of it. The second part of it is you've invested all of this money in your starter. The Eagles have always invested in the backup. Think about Chase Daniel, obviously, with Nick Foles. They've put money into that position. Well, once you pay Carson the $100 million deal, you don't want to devote another $10 million a year to his backup. Now you just got so much money tied up into one position. So we want a quality player, but we don't want to invest a bunch of money. The only way you do that is with a higher draft pick. So that, to me, is kind of gives them some more financial flexibility at other positions because they haven't invested quite as much in the quarterback position. I know it's kind of complicated, Rich.
Sure.
But I think that kind of all came together into making the move that they did.
No, I mean, and we're seeing, again, Taysom Hill, right? We're seeing guys who are quarterbacks, in quotes, come in and perform in significant manner, right? And taking quarterbacks off the field. And the quarterback that's being taken off the field in New Orleans is Drew Brees. And that is as high up the flow chart for GOATs as you can get, in many ways. So I can kind of see it, right? I mean, you can,
Rich, think about this, too. Think about this. This defense, like the Eagles have had some different players come in and out. Jim Schwartz is one of the best defensive coordinators in football. They have a top 5, top 7 defense almost every single year in Philadelphia. So they're going to be in games, and if Carson Wentz misses a couple games, you don't need somebody to come in there and beat Carson Wentz and run that whole offense. If Jalen Hurts comes in there and makes a couple plays, and you can score 17 points, you have a chance to win football games. Like he can do that without having to put him in the same role and ask him to do the exact same things Carson does. I think he can kind of get you through that stretch of games. So not only a little pack, I could see them using packages down on the goal line. He's not going to be like Taysom Hill in the standpoint. Taysom Hill play some wing back and blocking guys.
Or special teams.
Doing all that.
Right.
But he can come in and play quarterback down in packages or zone read, use him down the goal line. Like that's what he would be in that role.
Daniel Jeremiah, my compadre from NFL Network, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So I give you the floor. The draft that impressed you the most was which teams?
There were some good ones. The Minnesota Vikings, I thought nailed it.
Okay.
When you look at their first 3 picks, they had 2 first-rounders. Last year, Diggs, when I looked it up, I was kind of surprised. Diggs caught 63 balls last year. I bet you Justin Jefferson will come in and catch more than 63 balls this year.
All right.
As a rookie. He's ready to go, and he fits them beautifully. He's a pro. Everybody you talk to at LSU raves about this kid. So he's going to come in, play right away, starter, productive. He'll help you offset the loss of Diggs. Then you go out and get Jeff Gladney, a corner who is feisty, competitive, like the Mike Zimmer traits that you would write down on a sheet of paper. This guy checks them. Like he's going to come in, start right away. Really good player at the corner position. They go out and get Ezra Cleveland, who is one of the most athletic tackles in this draft. Now they have O'Neal. I want to say O'Neal ran in like the 4.8. It's just a ridiculous time. So you've got probably the most athletic tackle combination in the league. Not saying they're the best players, but just phenomenal athletes that can show you tremendous range in that zone stretch game that they run with Gary Kubiak. You've got Garrett Bradbury, who, if he's not the most athletic center, is one of the 2 or 3 most athletic centers in the NFL. So with Dalvin Cook and all these ultra-athletic linemen, like in Gary Kubiak's scheme, Dalvin Cook's going to rush for a zillion yards next year. So I just love what they did. They got guys that fit them so well.
And what do you make of the 49ers draft? Even though they didn't draft many, but they had a big Thursday night, and then Trent Williams gets added. I just think Lynch is just crushing it, man. That's what I said last segment. But
ironically, I was just texting with Shaw. I should text David back and tell him that I don't know what tuition is at Stanford, but after that draft, I think it might go up, because Lynch has proven that they teach him pretty well up there. I mean, to come out of this, to get a younger, cheaper version of DeForest Buckner and Kinlaw, to come away with, when healthy, and that's been a minute. But when healthy and on the field, Trent Williams is the best tackle in football when he's right. To get Brandon Ayuk, who fits them, run after the catch, with him and Deebo Samuel, they're going to get Jalen Hurd back. That is a lot of firepower for that group. So beautiful job of trading, maneuvering around the board. John Lynch, I thought it was a clinic.
Daniel Jeremiah here on the Rich Eisen Show. What a crucial draft for the Dolphins. How do you think they fared?
I would say I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought they had opportunity. They could have done a little bit more with all their picks. Now, I think the fact they got Tua, I thought that was the right call. I thought he was clearly the second quarterback. So, you got to take a little bit of a gamble on his health, but no risk it, no biscuit, right? That's Bruce Arians, and I believe in that. So
right.
I think getting Tua there was the right call. Austin Jackson, upside. You probably had to take him where you did. He's not ready right now, but can be your left tackle. I like Robert Hunt, who they got. He's a good player. But Noah Igbinoghene, their third-round pick, he was like my 70-something player. I thought that was a little early for him. Some of these other guys that they went throughout the draft, I liked it. I thought, it wasn't a home run. I thought it was a good draft. If Tua hits, then it's all worth it.
Right.
But it was good. It was good, not great. I thought the teams that had all the picks, I thought Minnesota was better. I thought Jacksonville, that's a reboot. They traded all those veterans, and I thought they nailed it. Henderson is really, really gifted cover corner. Kayvon Chason gives them some more pass rush on the opposite side of Josh Allen, frees them up with Ngakoue if they want to move him. If that thing comes to an ugly end here. Laviska Shenault was good value, who's a playmaker now. They're starting to add some pieces around Gardner Minshew. And then, guys like Shaq Quarterman from Miami, just really good leaders, good guys. I thought that kind of changed this whole feel of this team a little bit with this draft.
Daniel Jeremiah here on the Rich Eisen Show, and you were kind enough to mention at the very top of our conversation that my alma mater had 10 Wolverines drafted in this draft. A fifth of them by Bill Belichick, who loves himself some Wolverines. Obviously, he had took Winovich last year, too. What do you think of Bill's decision, obviously, to move out of the first round? And then we saw what he did on Friday night and then what he did on Saturday, and none of them are a quarterback. What do you make of the Patriots draft, Daniel? Yeah,
it's funny, Rich. I looked up, and I think we might have talked about this last time we spoke, but I found this presentation that a scout had given us in Baltimore training camp, and it was he had worked under Belichick, and this was a presentation from 1991 with the Browns, and Belichick had described what he wants at every single position. This is going back to 1991, and you could literally pull that out and look at their entire draft and go, he has not changed one bit. Like, he knows what he wants. He knows what fits him, what fits their scheme, and how they play. And it was just right down the list of all these guys with versatility, guys that can play the run really well. He still values that. A tight end that you can move around and do different things with. Like, the whole draft is just quintessential Bill Belichick Patriots. That's who they are. Not taking a quarterback, I don't think where they were picking, they felt like they were going to draft a quarterback that was better than Jarrett Stidham. So they just weren't going to spend a pick on a guy that they didn't think was better than him. He was a fourth-round pick, but he's very talented, and I think they're going to give that kid a chance.
So name me the quarterback, second day if you want. I know we'd hit on Hurts, or third day that you think has an opportunity to mesh well with the team that's drafted him and maybe be a long-time starter in this league.
It's hard to find them. I think when you talk about the four guys in the first round, and then you go beyond that, Jalen Hurts, I think it would have to be for another team down the line, would be probably my first choice there of guys out of the first round that have a chance to be long-term starters in the NFL. Jake Fromm, I don't think he's not a great fit in Buffalo in terms of being on the field. I think he's going to be an asset to Josh Allen in the room, helping him. But if he's going to be a starter in the NFL, I don't see it happening in that environment there. I think he'd have to go somewhere else. But probably my favorite day 3 quarterback pick would be the kid that the Jags took, and Jake Luton from Oregon State. He's big. He's a good decision maker. He's pretty athletic. He's someone, if obviously Gardner Minshew played well last year, but if he were to falter, it wouldn't be shocked of all the day 3 guys if he was the one that got on the field at some point in time next year.
So, I mean, you told me, DJ, because you know Joe Douglas very well, and thankfully you didn't leave me to go work with him, that this was a Noah's Ark offseason for the Jets. They needed 2 of everything. Why are they using a 4th-round pick on a quarterback? Why would they do that?
Well, I think when you look at them last year, as you do, Rich, which I couldn't believe, when you go back and look at them and their record, what were they, 7-9, right? Is that
I
right?
know.
Or were they 8-8?
No, they were 7-9.
I don't know how they were. And when you look at the postseason and you look at the games they had to play without Sam Darnold while he was out with mono, if they had better quarterback play during that period, the Jets could have been the postseason last year, which is crazy. So they felt like they had to upgrade that backup position. And now you've got an expanded postseason. They just, if Darnold's out a game or 2, they couldn't trot out there what they trotted out there last year. They just had to get better, and they really like this kid. So that's why they use him there in the 4th round. I think that you got to look at the Jets in kind of a 2-plan phase here. This is the first offseason for Joe Douglas. It was about protecting Sam Darnold first and foremost, which they did in free agency, and they got 2 good tackles in the draft. And I think next year, where they have a ton of money in free agency, and then they'll have their assets in the draft. I think this year was about the big guys. I think next year will be phase 2, where you'll see them go heavy on the weapons.
And who had the best home draft setup that you thought? Let's evaluate that, Daniel. As you know, your job is to evaluate, and everything's an evaluation this time of year. You saw it all during the broadcast. Yep. I was just there on my laptop and draft-a-thon while you were checking everybody out and doing your evaluation. Who had the best home draft setup from your perspective?
Well, I actually was talking to Matt Money Smith, our buddy, about this, about Kingsbury. Kingsbury's was, to me, it was a Draquois Noir. What was the name?
Draquois Noir. I would go more. I would go more
in the middle of a GQ.
Yeah, it's
magazine.
more.
You have to pull the flap and you can smell it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like this does have more than just one sense to it. I agree. It looks like a Bulgari ad to me. That's the way we're going. There's more. There's a sort of a European touch to it in a way. Certainly with that European cut shirt and no socks and loafers, which is impressive. And then let's be honest though.
What about McVay? McVay has a better view. They both have the paver thing, which I'm looking into my backyard, and I don't know if I can get more than 3 or 4 of those pavers in, but with the grass around it, man, what a sweet look. And then he has the LA skyline behind him. So McVay in the daylight hours, I think, is second place. But once the city lights pop behind him, man, I might go McVay over Kingsbury in an upset.
How about Belichick and the dog? How about Bill and his dog? How about Bill and Nike? This should be a Bill and Nike show. I mean, he's feeding the dog. He's giving the dog treats. It's fantastic.
And the table, to me, I was looking
Nantucket.
at that.
That's got Nantucket written all over it. That's got Nantucket written all over it, that table.
That has, we just took Eric Metcalf, and I'm fired up. I'm going to go buy a new kitchen table. And he stuck with it. He is the same table that he had back then. He is rocking now, and I appreciate that.
And then you did you did the shorts thing, right? All weekend long? You didn't put on pants, did you?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm actually wearing jeans right now, and I feel like I'm in a tuxedo.
Look at your setup. I mean, I like that. We're looking at right now the socks, no pants. All business on top, party underneath. The socks do match the tie. You've got a very interesting carpet situation. No, but the flowers. Whose touch is that? Is that your wife's? The flowers behind you?
No, this is none of mine. This is NFL Network sending our talented crew out here. They put
flowers
behind me, the lamp, the flowers, the whole thing. This is none of mine. None of this stuff is mine.
Come on, dude. The flower.
Swear to you.
I got a setup. No, they don't bring me flowers. They don't bring me flowers. They brought you flowers.
Are you going to start singing Barbra Streisand right now?
I am. They don't bring me flowers anymore. They don't even bring me love songs. What the hell?
You did not know I had that club in my bag.
I did.
You did not know that I had the Barbra Streisand in my bag.
I definitely knew Mayock didn't. Did you see what Mayock did when I asked him to send me his draft setup? Did you know about that? Did you heard about this?
He took an outside picture. Of course he did.
And I said, no, I don't want your outside picture. I want your inside picture. And he just texts back, I know what you meant. That was it. That's the last I heard of him. I haven't heard from him since then.
Can I give you my Mayock interaction during the draft?
Go for it.
So he takes Ruggs, right?
Yes.
So I text him, speed, exclamation point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then that's right after that pick. Well, I don't send him anything after he takes Arnett. He doesn't reply to the speed thing. Thursday night, 10:48 p.m., speed, yeah, plus your 8th-ranked quarterback, exclamation point. So he was listening.
He knows exactly your evaluation. He knows exactly.
Yeah.
I love it, man. You're the best, Daniel. Great job.
funny.
What you had to say about Mort, too, was so heartfelt and beautiful. Just beautiful. The whole thing,
Wow.
soup to nuts, DJ, really.
I appreciate you, man. Let's get to Cleveland, buddy. I'm anxious to get our band back together and have a lot of fun, man.
But, I mean, honestly, you represented all of us at NFL Network so well, so expertly, and made everybody proud to be able to call you colleagues, sir. Great job.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Rich. You did a wonderful job raising a ton of money. And some of the videos that I saw, I didn't get to see it live, but the Tom Brady stuff, that was pure gold. It was gold.
It was great on Draftathon Live. Thanks again, DJ. We'll chat soon, okay?
Thanks, buddy.
You got it. That's Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.